It's almost bug season, and bugs suck. They can really put a damper on the overall adventure experience. And last year, I had had enough of it. I said I was going to do something about it. I'd considered getting one of those Thermarest bug repellent thingamabobbers, and the thought of being completely reliant and dependent on those cartridges didn't really sit well with me. So moving on from there, I decided that the Eureka No Bug Zone was probably the way to go. Make a great community area. And I know that Eureka is going out of business, so I figured if I'm gonna get, I better get while the getting's good. Got to looking around online and poking around and doing a little bit of research, going down that rabbit hole, and stumbled across this guy. This is the Preself screen box. This is a much cheaper, more budget-friendly Chinese option, but on paper, this was more suited to my needs than the Eureka No Bug Zone. Let's talk about it. It's a lightweight, tarped, no-seam mesh screen house. I really like the idea of having a community area that was safe from the bugs, especially during canoe season. Those mosquitoes and black flies can get insane. And having something like this, I can just see where it would come in really, really handy. Now, I wouldn't bring it on all my trips, but when weight doesn't necessarily matter, or if I know that bugs are just gonna be absolutely crazy due to the time of year, I'll be bringing it. Now I picked this over the Eureka because it's 2 pounds lighter, it has twice the hydrostatic head rating, and it's approximately, on average from what I could find online, $60 cheaper. Hopefully I made the right decision and didn't just waste $90 on this thing. This is what you get. Starting with the stuff sack, the whole package breaks down into a manageable, packable size. Inside the stuff sack is the bug house, ridge line with line locks, guy lines with line locks, and stakes. They claim the weight of this product to be 2.3 pounds, but all in, on my scale, just a hair over 3. The shelter pitches basically like any tarp. Pick 2 trees and use your favorite method of hanging. You can also pitch this thing with poles, which is nice. Stake out your corners, work the bottom as necessary, and you've got yourself a pretty nice little protected area. It's pretty straightforward. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a closer look at the details. The ridgeline loops, they're beefy. It appears like they're using quality materials. There's webbing up there. They appear well made, but the reinforcement looks a little bit suspect to me, kind of questionable. Not all that substantial. The tarp is made from a silicone coated ripstop nylon. And I don't know what the denier of that nylon is because that information is not available on the website. The ridgeline has a length of 11 feet. When this thing is pitched at its highest, this has a peak height of 6 foot 6 inches. So there's plenty of room in here. The seam of the tarp is taped and they claim a hydrostatic head rating of 3,000 millimeters. That's 2 times the hydrostatic head rating of the Eureka tent. That's pretty significant. However, in defense of the Eureka, as I had mentioned earlier, budget Chinese option, and this is where some of it starts to show. The seam is taped and that looks well done, but the material folds of the stitching are not very consistent at all. And again, I'll bring it up. Budget Chinese option. So I kind of expected a certain lack of quality control. So this doesn't necessarily bother me. It could be absolutely nothing, or it could be foreshadowing to a complete disaster. Time will tell. The screen panels are no-seam bug mesh. There's a nice tight grid, so it should offer quite a bit of protection from the bugs. All the joining corners where the mesh and the tarp meet are reinforced. Stitching is acceptable. The reinforcement, again, it doesn't look all that substantial. There are 2 zippered doors, one on each end of the tarp, and each door has its own set of zipper sliders for hammock use. That's a nice touch. And moving down to the bottom of the shelter, it has ample skirts that can be pinned down at 2 different heights, allowing for some adjustability. And that's really nice because more often than not, you're dealing with ground that is not level and usually it's not uniform, such as we have here. And from what I can see, that feature works. You can see on the bottom right there how the flap is tucked in on the inside. And on the far end, it's extended all the way down to the ground. And there are toggles all along the perimeter of the tarp so that you can roll up this mesh and get it out of the way if you don't want to use it. But I'm not going to use it like that. For me, this is strictly a one-trick pony. Bug protection. All right, so that is my first look at this shelter. My first impressions are good. It's a budget option, so keeping that in mind, everything is pretty much on par with what I expected it to be. The stitching is okay. Nothing stands out, nothing glaring about the stitching at all. There's not threads poking out everywhere and it's not falling apart on itself and pulling itself apart already. No seam mesh, that's good. It's got a nice adjustable skirt. The reinforcements look a little thin, but again, budget option. All that's left now is to get out there in bug season and use this thing. I'm looking forward to having this degree of protection. Hopefully it holds up. I aim to find out how long it's going to hold up, and I'll keep you guys posted. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you later.